Hey there, listeners. Kath Langman here, back with another episode of the Scale My Ecom Store podcast. And a bit of a different topic for you today. Now, I'm sure that, we're in 2025 now. I'm sure you would agree that it feels like total second nature to just jump online and go shopping. I think most of us have taken to online shopping like ducks to water. It's really easy. It's a lot of fun. It's very convenient. But in reality, it wasn't all that long ago when online shopping was just not so common. A lot of households didn't have an internet connection, or if they did, it was dial-up, and that was super slow. Obviously, we didn't used to have essentially a computer in our pocket with our smartphones. Transactions online, they weren't all that secure. So there were definitely some trust and risk issues for people using their credit cards online. And it boggles my mind sometimes, like in just 25 years, society has moved from an essentially offline commerce model to an online digital model. But shopping online is so very different to shopping in physical stores in one really key way. And that is when you go to the shops, you're often, wandering in and out of stores, and that's kind of how you discover new products. Whereas oftentimes, or most of the time, when you're shopping online, typically you have to be actively searching for that thing. So as an e-commerce business, we have to use various different communication channels to actively drive customers to our websites. And, things like social media, Google search, free and paid, and of course, email marketing. That's not an exhaustive list of communication channels, but you get the gist of it. And so the point that I want to draw here is that e-commerce is unlike having a brick and mortar store where you can somewhat rely on foot traffic going past your shop front and being enticed into your shop as the point of discovery, the point of brand discovery, the point of product discovery. Whereas, with e-commerce, we need to proactively communicate with our audience to get them over to our website. Your email marketing tool can make all the difference between a highly profitable Shopify store or e-commerce store and one with underwhelming results. And typically, email marketing, and if you've listened to any of my shows or read any of my content for more than 5 minutes, you would know this email marketing has the highest return on investment of any of your marketing channels. And today I specifically want to discuss email marketing and how to choose the best email marketing app for your e-commerce business, one that drives those people to your online store and one that generates you a great return on investment. And the reason that I want to talk about this today is because Klaviyo, the email marketing application that myself and my team recommend for e-commerce businesses, has recently changed their pricing structure, and it's causing all kinds of stress and anxiety. I'm seeing a lot of brand owners make very hasty decisions to shift away to other platforms that appear to be cheaper. But in many of these cases, very poor matches for their needs. And I see a lot of people making mistakes with this choice, either from poor advice or from ignorance about what difference it makes, or from thinking that all platforms do the same thing and choosing the cheapest one is a prudent decision. But your email database is the biggest asset that you own in an e-commerce business. It's the audience that you own, and it's the vehicle through which you communicate to your customers and your prospects. So choosing well will enable you to grow your business efficiently and effectively and profitably. While choosing poorly, it's not necessarily the end of the world. It's entirely possible, of course, to shift to another platform. People do this all the time. But it isn't the easiest or the fastest or cheapest exercise. And I will say there can be it can be a little bit fraught. There are a number of, technical hurdles that you have to jump through to move an email list from one platform to the other. So, you definitely want to keep that in mind. Now, before we get into it today, I do really want to just give another reminder in case you haven't already got it yet. My updated 2025 e-commerce marketing playbook resource is available for free. So this is a really comprehensive document that outlines the key trends from the last year, the strategies that are working right now to drive profitable growth in an e-commerce business, and of course, the things that you need to be focusing on in 2025 if you really want to have a successful year, as successful a year as you possibly can. So if you haven't got a copy yet, go and head over to catherinelangman.com/playbook. Now, email marketing and, choosing the best application for your email marketing for your e-commerce business. And I guess before we dive into the specific platform choices, you really want to understand the types of email marketing that you would be or should be doing in an e-commerce business. And the first is probably the one that everyone knows the best, and that is your broadcast style campaigns. So this is like your mass marketing. It's one to many. And, if you are sending, say, a weekly newsletter, for example, this is a broadcast campaign. We'll talk about this a little bit more further into the episode, but nearly a year ago, if you've been using email marketing for that long, you would have had to do some updates to your domain name settings to account for DMARC. Now, off the top of my head, I'm not actually going to remember what that acronym stands for, but essentially it provides your email application permission to email your database on behalf or using your domain. So it's like notifying the receiving email inboxes that whether it's Klaviyo or some other email application has permission to send emails using your domain. And so this particular update has kind of wreaked a little bit of havoc for how email marketing works. And mainly from the perspective of these broadcast emails, it's really kind of impacted the deliverability rates and the results. So it's kind of changed how we need to approach these sorts of broadcast emails with our marketing. So like I said, I'll sort of dive into that a little bit further later in the episode. But the other kind of email marketing that really works exceptionally well in an e-commerce business is your sales automation type marketing. So this is where you're sending really highly targeted and personalized emails and SMSs, one-to-one or one to a few, and it's on an automated basis. And both of these sorts of email marketing are really important to e-commerce businesses, but they each serve very different purposes. So your broadcast email campaigns, you're going to use those things for things like, customer education or promoting a new product launch or promoting a sale campaign like your Afterpay Day or Black Friday type sale campaign. I do see many small businesses who only send the occasional email campaign to their entire list, and that's the sum total of their email marketing efforts. And if this is you, I'm crying on your behalf because of how much money you would be leaving on the table by not utilizing email marketing as a channel effectively. Whereas sales automation is going to be things like a sequence of emails and SMSs. Doesn't have to include SMS, but you can on an automated basis. Like I said, you could be doing things like welcoming new subscribers and helping them lead them through their purchase decision-making journey. Or you could be sending a sequence of targeted emails when a specific rule or trigger is met. So, for example, when someone abandons their shopping cart without completing a purchase. I think even as shoppers, we all know that one. Or maybe a contact has been engaging with your emails over a period of time, but they haven't yet bought. Or maybe someone bought a year ago and you want to entice them back. I mean, there's a whole range of different scenarios where you can utilize this sort of email marketing, and it is designed specifically to convert new and repeat sales. And because these emails are highly personalized in terms of the timing that they're sent out to the individual, it might be when they just looked at a specific product or when they bought a specific product. And then they're also highly personalized in terms of the content, because you can be dynamically generating the content within the email. So, for example, I mean, obviously, again, we all know the abandoned cart one. One I really love is a replenishment type email where you are dynamically showcasing the product that they bought before. And, obviously different products might be consumed and used up in different timeframes. But like for skincare, for example, every 3 months or 3 months after a first purchase, we can show them what they bought and, the bottle might nearly be empty. Do you need some more? So I love the capability to really personalize and make it relevant to the individual, and also you really are sending these emails one-to-one rather than one-to-many. Now, how you use these, or how do you use these different types of email marketing options to sell products in an e-commerce business model? And I'm talking very specifically about e-commerce. If you're a service provider or you're selling digital products, or you have even like a brick and mortar business, is going to be a bit different, even if it is still retail. Different business models require different types of functionality. So I'm talking for e-commerce here. Now, your broadcast campaigns, again, this is, where you're sending out a campaign to your entire list at the same time. And you would use this when you are sending new and valuable content to your audience, such as launching a new product or a new sale promotion. Now, you want to make sure that you are really looking after your email database and you're not sending campaigns like this to contacts that are completely disengaged. Now, you're not always going to know when contacts are completely disengaged because, as your email list grows, it's not like you're actually having a look at every single email in the database, right? But from time to time, you definitely need to be segmenting your list, finding the people who really have completely disengaged and just suppressing them off your list. And doing this is going to really help lift and improve your deliverability rates, because the way that these systems work is if you are sending out a campaign to an entire list and there's a lot of disengaged contacts on there, which quite frankly, that's going to happen if you're not sending emails very frequently. And the bigger the proportion of disengaged contacts, the more likely your emails are to land in the spam folder. Because, the email platforms, they start to learn that people don't actually want to read your emails. So you definitely want to make sure that you, from time to time, are taking the disengaged contacts off your list. So then we have targeted broadcast campaigns. And so this is essentially, you're still sending out an email campaign to a big list. It's just a segment of your entire list. So you're not sending to the list in its entirety, but you are still sending one campaign to many recipients at the same time. And so an example of this would be, maybe you segment people who purchased in the last 30 days, or you segment people who only buy one specific kind of product, or you segment people who have been engaged in the last 30, 60, 90 days, and so on and so forth. So an example with my beauty brand, Indigo Natural Beauty, one of our products is our hair oil, which is super, super popular, but quite frequently the hair oil customers are not skincare customers, and vice versa. So sometimes we are only sending campaigns to the hair oil customers. Now, when would you use a targeted campaign option like this? Definitely you want to make sure that you are sending relevant content out to specific segments, like I just explained with the hair oil example. There are other times that it's really prudent to send to this kind of using a segmented approach to sending your campaigns. For example, over the really super busy promotional period leading up to Black Friday and through the Black Friday promo and Christmas, really only sending to the engaged segment of your list, and even like a small engaged segment, even 30 days. It's going to depend on the size of your list, of course. But, when it is a really peak promotional period of the year like that, when, every business and brand is out there sending a lot more communications, then it will improve your deliverability rates if you're being much more restricted and selective in the segments that you're sending to like that. And then you can also do things like have a engaged but did not open segment of your email list where you might resend campaigns, but with, say, a slightly different subject line to try and entice more people to open it. So there's a variety of different ways that you might slice and dice a database to send a targeted campaign to a specific segment. Now, again, you don't want to be including any really cold, dead, disengaged contacts from, sending those sorts of campaigns. So you want to just have that kind of process in place every now and again where you are kind of suppressing those contacts off. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the automated kind of sales automation type sequences or flows, if you use that language, like in Klaviyo. So obviously one of the main ones is a new subscriber welcome flow or welcome sequence. And this is where you're sending out a specific sequence of emails to people who subscribe to your list. Obviously, this is a strategy to convert new subscribers into first-time customers, right? So we want to be welcoming them to your brand, educating them about your product benefits, potentially providing them with a incentive if you've used an incentive to entice them to subscribe to your email list. Overcoming any perceived risks or objections that customers might have to buy from a brand like yours, and providing social proof, like really touching on any and all of the conversion tactics that we might use when communicating with a prospect to help them really understand that your products, or if your products are the right thing for their needs, but to quickly establish trust with them and overcome risks and really help them to make a decision. Obviously, you want them to make a decision that's in your favor by buying from you, but one way or the other, you want them to just actually make a decision rather than sit on the fence. Now, I really want to see this sequence, this automated sequence or flow in place with all e-commerce businesses and direct-to-consumer brands. It is the one that it should be doing the heavy lifting in terms of all of your automated email and SMS marketing. It is, when I say heavy lifting, it should be generating the most revenue out of all of your automations, all your flows. And, when you think about your sales automation, you want to think in terms of which ones are designed to convert a first-time customer and which ones are designed to encourage a repeat purchase. If you're an early-stage business, obviously you focus on the first ones first, ones designed to get the first order. And then from there, you want to work on the ones that are going to bring people back. So that new subscriber welcome sequence, that's going to be triggered when someone subscribes to your list. And then you're going to have other kind of behavior or goal triggered emails. And this is going to be basically what this is sending out specific email sequence or flow to individuals where they've triggered, the flow has been triggered by specific customer behavior. So for example, it could be that they browsed products but didn't buy, or they might have added to cart and then abandoned cart, or they might have purchased a product from you, or they might meet other goals that you have set up. And this is not a goal in the way that you might think of goals as a business owner, but it might be you have a segment of your list set up that people who've been engaged with your list, they've received and opened and clicked on emails, say over 90 days, but they've never purchased. So whenever someone meets the definition of that segment, it could trigger an automated flow. And so again, you want to be thinking in terms of which flows are going to help, or which automated email sequences are going to help convert a first-time customer and which ones are going to help bring the customers back. And, we obviously, as a business, you definitely need to be winning new customers more and more in order to grow, but you also need to be bringing them back as many as possible for repeat orders in order to grow profitably. So there's, when you think about growing a business, there's three ways that you can essentially grow. Number one, you can win more new customers. Number two, you can increase the amount that customers spend with you. And number three, you can increase the frequency of times, or the frequency, of orders that customers place with you. So the faster that you can turn a one-time customer into somebody who buys twice, the better. But again, focusing on those automated sales sequences and flows that are going to drive those first orders first, and then the repeat ones after that. And, when you think about it, these sorts of automated email sequences, they're going to be a lot more relevant and tailored to the specific interests and needs of the individual. And you just can't ever achieve the same level of personalization with a broadcast campaign that goes out to your entire list. Another flow idea, automated email sequence idea, is product recommendations. So this is where you're able to kind of cross-sell or upsell within these campaigns. So you would trigger it based off an initial purchase, but then from there, you can recommend either more of the same, if they're, say, for example, you sell supplements, oftentimes people are going to want multiple bottles of it, right? Or it could be upselling to a larger size. I succumbed to that some time ago with the protein powder brand that I've been buying for my swimmer sons, but also to a shampoo brand that I buy as well. So, upselling that way, and then cross-selling to other products as well. So one of our mastery clients is the Waste-Free Home in New Zealand, and I featured her business in a case study at the end of last year. You might have seen that. And she has quite a large range, and she's able to kind of automate some of that cross-selling and upselling. And with, the products featured in this email can be dynamically generated in the email based off some rules in her Klaviyo account. So, because there are quite frequently new products coming into her lineup, but there's also best-selling products. So, there's different ways that you can kind of dynamically feature the content and the products that you might be recommending. So some examples of where you would use this. So in my businesses, I use this kind of post-purchase flow. I call it a profit maximizer. So you want to try and bring customers back, if you possibly can, within 30 to 60 days. If you can bring, customers back for a second order within that time frame, it's really going to help with your cash flow. When you think about it, growing an e-commerce business, you have to be spending money on advertising, and that's not a cheap exercise often. So to kind of keep the cash flow positive, if you can increase the number of people who come back within that time frame, that's just it's a kind of a good window where most of the time we can kind of fund that with fund your ads with credit cards, for example, and or credit terms on your ad accounts, and then bringing more people back month on month for that. Like I said, I call it a profit maximizer, then the better position that you'll be in with your cash flow. Also a replenishment, so that time frame is probably likely to be longer. Again, that's probably not relevant to people who don't sell consumables. So a replenishment campaign might be 3 months, or it might be longer, depending on when they would have used up whatever they've bought from you the first time. Instead of a replenishment, though, it could be, like I gave you the example of the Waste-Free Home, where they have lots of new products coming into the range on a fairly regular basis. And, they can dynamically kind of cross-sell to those at a certain time frame. But then, you could also put in place an anniversary flow. We love this flow. This one is, like the name suggests, goes out a year after a customer has bought the first time. And, the messaging in that can be very different depending on what you sell. For baby aiders, being kids' sunglasses, baby and kids' sunglasses, the messaging there is more about sizing up, because your child's grown. For Integrare, it's very different. It's more of a reward for, being consistent, adopting a new and non-toxic skincare routine and just being really consistent with that and giving them a really nice offer as a reward for good behavior, basically. And if on the flip side, if you have a brand that has just a single product and a single purchase type brand, those scenarios probably won't be suitable for that kind of a product or business model. However, you could adapt that style of automated email marketing into a refer a friend type flow. So that can also be worthwhile. Now, something else that is typical that you would find in a really good sales automation platform like Klaviyo is the reporting on the ROI, like having some really detailed analytics. So essentially, we want to have the ability to track and report on the return on investment of the emails that you are sending. So obviously, there's the basic metrics in an email platform like open rate, click-through rate, deliverability rate. But beyond that, more importantly, how many people actually purchased as a result of each email and what was the dollar value? You want to know things like the conversion rate. So how, the percentage of recipients who actually placed an order as a result of the email. I also really like to know, the total dollar value generated by the email, but the revenue per recipient is another one that's a really excellent metric to have visibility over because, being able to make metrics-based decisions like this, using past results to make decisions on where you invest your time and money as a business owner is pretty critical. And so calculating the exact dollar value of each campaign or the, of each automated flow or sequence really helps you to allocate your resources effectively and basically allows you to focus on the activities that are actually shifting the needle and making a difference with your business. So, super duper important. And that level of data and tracking and analytics is not available in all email platforms. So certainly a consideration. Now, I want to kind of move next into comparing two email platforms that I'm seeing a lot of e-commerce businesses, particularly Shopify businesses, are currently choosing between. And if you are looking at or you're already using something different, I'm also just going to talk about and share details about the features and benefits of these two platforms so that you can kind of compare those features and benefits with what you're looking at or what you're using and understand if what you have is suitable for your business model's needs and the goals that you have for your business, and also whether you're actually generating the best potential revenue results from your email marketing efforts. Nothing like having a good idea of return on effort as well as return on investment. So when I recorded this episode yesterday, I kind of didn't realize how long it would end up being. So we decided to split it over two episodes, part one and part two. I know I'm a bit of a tease, sorry. But between now and next week, I would love to suggest listening to a couple of related episodes. So episode 176 is how to revive a dead email list. So that was a pretty fun one. And obviously, if you have not been making the most of your email list and not really using it effectively, then that one would be a really good one to listen to. And then also episode 236, how to grow a lucrative email list for your online store. I think the title says everything for that one. And then next week, in part two of this episode, I'm going to talk you through a bit of a comparison between two popular email marketing apps and help you to work out what's going to suit your business needs and goals the best. So until next week, bye for now.